Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Tashwita Gupta, your ACCA mentor, and I teach FR, SBR, and Advanced Audit and Assurance at TG Professionals. Okay, so this video is specific to the new changes which have actually happened in the September quarter of 2024. So there is one new topic which is introduced in the syllabus of strategic business reporting, which is of sustainability reporting standards. Okay, IFRS S1 and IFRS S2. So in this video, I'm going to discuss all about these sustainable reporting standards. So I've already made some notes for you in this diary of mine, and I'll be sharing it with you like on the Word file. I'll type it out for you. So we will go through this, concept together. It will just take us few minutes, okay? It will not take us much time, just few minutes, and we will be getting done with this topic. So if you, I'm sure you are, indulged in a lot of reading at this point in time because the exams are just around the corner, which I totally understand. So I would take very less of your time, but still I would recommend that you just listen to this very carefully. Even though it is a theory topic, it's a general topic, I would say it's an interesting topic, not something that you should be scared of or should treat it as a burden on you. So you would enjoy this topic. It's just like those environmental science classes which you used to have in your school days. So without any further ado, let's get started with these topic of IFRS S1 and S2. So to begin with, you should know that what sustainability actually is, right? So you must be aware of what exactly sustainable reporting is. So if I have to discuss that with you, what I'll do is I'll just prepare my notes for IFRS S1 and S2. So I must understand that why these standards were required. For that, I should understand what in the world do I mean by sustainability. See, sustainability is when we actually focus on optimum utilization, optimum utilization of resources in a way that resources are not just used by current generation, but also available for upcoming generations. So when you do such a optimum utilization of your resources, like a conscious use of resources, that you also keep it for your upcoming generations as well, is what I call as sustainability. So now the standards on sustainability say that we are supposed to have some kind of regulation regarding sustainable reporting. So previously it was like a very, vague kind of a thing that you have to do sustainable reporting. There was no time frame. You have to provide disclosures, 6 types of capital, and you have to talk about all things which are human, which are qualitative, like how is your company impacting the environment, what is your environmental footprint. You used to talk about environment, society, governance, ESG factors in your annual reports. But in SBR and in general, accountants were also not very sure of what in the world is this. Okay, so it was a very vague topic or vague area of syllabus. So now they've said that similarly, just like for you it was vague, for the accountants around the globe also, it was a vague area of syllabus, which led to a lot more confusions in, you can say it led to a lot more confusions in the accountants also. And some people use this as a source of manipulation. Like they would paint a rosy picture of a business and say, we are going to do so much good in this company and stuff like that. But that is what is the disadvantage, that this was being used to confuse the investors. Another disadvantage of that vague area of sustainability was that some people were opting into sustainable reporting, but they were not doing it consistently. Like they were not doing it comparable to other companies, comparable to other industries. They had their own versions of sustainability, just like every student in SBR exam used to have. Which is why now what happened in the 2021. So let me give you a brief history of it. In 2021, ISSB was made. ISSB, which is basically International Standard Board on the Sustainability Standards. So International Sustainability Standard Board, which was put into the, purpose, or you can say which was put into the objective of making these sustainable standards, sustainable reporting standards. Now in 2023, finally the IFRSs on sustainable reporting were out. IFRS S1 and IFRS S2, right? These were out. Now, what is there in these is, first we need to understand that what was the need of the IFRS S1 and S2. What was the need of these two standards? So first need is that both investors, okay, who are investing in a business, and banks and even regulators, okay, they wanted something regarding climate related disclosures. They wanted climate related disclosures of every company, right? So especially the company which are big and huge and are impacting the climate, or are impacting the environment in one way or the other. So they wanted their climate related disclosures, and for that they thought that there is no consistency, there is no comparability. So there was a lack of consistency in sustainable reporting, and there was a lack of comparability, which led to preparation of these two standards. Now these two standards are very easy, honestly guys, these are very easy standards. So what is there in this is that, first of all, you should understand that this is a voluntary choice, that you want to do sustainable reporting or not under IFRS S1 or S2. So it's a voluntary choice whether you want to do this or you don't want to do this. So don't think that I am, obliged to make my financial statements and then give sustainable reporting standards. No, that's not true. So you have to just give it if you opt for it. Now I'll just give you a brief verbally, okay? What is there is, what is the objective of IFRS S1? So IFRS S1 talks about risks and opportunities of what? Sustainability issues. So I'm dividing these all environmental factors in two things. One is sustainability issue, another is climate related problems. So sustainability is, are you using your non-renewable resources in a decisive way? Like, are you using it consciously? Because those can't be renewed, right? So if I talk about water, if I talk about oil, I talk about minerals, these are limited on the planet earth. So are you using it in a decisive manner, in a good manner, so that you're saving it for upcoming generations also? Now that is a sustainability problem. What is climate related problem? You all know that, I don't know if you know it or not, but every year 1 degree Celsius is our increase in temperature around the globe. And because of this, there was a Paris agreement, which all, this is not in your syllabus, just for your general information. There was a Paris agreement where all countries, they decided that together we will become net zero emissions for carbon dioxide. So at net level, all the countries said, especially the developed ones, that we would, become the net zero emissions. Like, if we are, it does not mean that you will not have such plants and machineries which will not emit carbon dioxide. You would have them, but you would also grow such plants, and you will make sure that in net you're having zero emissions, so your carbon footprint is reduced. That's what they all said, that by 2025 this is what we will achieve. But anyway, they've not yet achieved it. So these are the targets, like just like you and me, we keep the targets, by this date we'll complete this, complete that, and then we don't follow that. Similarly, countries also have same mindset only. So they made this target, but at the end they were not able to meet this. So what is this? This is a climate related problem, and it's a chronic problem. It's not something that today a flood came and this is a one-off thing. No, this is a chronic problem which is around the globe. Now in this chronic problem also, what I want to tell you is that this climate related disclosure is very important. Because not just that, okay, from one country to another, even if I talk about India, and if I have a big plant and India has promised that we will be, net zero emissions will be there for carbon dioxide, so Indian government will be very much interested from the businesses around the country, that what are your emissions into the environment and how are you controlling them. So government also wants you to disclose such thing, because they have made a promise in the international platforms that we would become net zero emitters of carbon dioxide. So that means climate related disclosures are really very important, and which is why there are two problems related to environment. One is normal general sustainability issues, one is climate related issue. So the whole IFRS S1 is on sustainability issues, and the copy paste of it, every content is same, but just the issue is changed to climate related in S2. So S1 is related to sustainability in general, all other issues rather than climate related. And S2 is all about climate related disclosures. So let us discuss S1 first. Okay. So what is there in IFRS S1? Let me just share my screen. Okay. So in IFRS S1, they say we need to have, what is the objective of IFRS S1? The objective of IFRS S1 is to have material disclosures of risks and opportunities. Now, these are the wordings that you have to learn. Risks and opportunities which are related to sustainability issues or sustainability in general. So sustainability would have associated risk also. For example, you're misusing a non-renewable resource, or maybe you're in a fast fashion industry. So recently I've started my own clothing brand, and we are focusing on slow fashion, like, sustainable clothing. So that is an opportunity for us, right? Because that would enhance the brand value also, because you're focusing on an environmental problem. But when I talk about risk associated, if a company is in fast fashion, for example, Shein is there, for example, Zara is there, all these brands, they are into fast fashion. So for them, it's a risk and they need to manage it, right? They are harming the environment in a certain way. So the objective of IFRS S1 is that you have to give material disclosures of risk and opportunities related to sustainability, which will impact the decision of the users, which will impact the decision of users. So that's what materiality is, in fact. So that is the content of it. Now, when I say that what you have to disclose is, like, you won't disclose the issues, you will disclose their effects. Main focus is on effects, like how will that risk or opportunity going to affect your cash flows, future cash flows, going to affect your finance, like from where you raise it, will you able to get finance or not, how it will impact your cost of capital. So these are the things that you have to disclose. Like, there are so many general problems going around in the world, so every company can't disclose all those things, right? They have to be specific that how that issue is impacting you as a company. That's what you have to disclose. So it's more focused towards effects. The IFRS S1 and S2 are focused towards effects, and you have to disclose only those things which affect your company. You're not supposed to disclose whatever is happening around the world. You have to only disclose the issues which are affecting you only, right? That's one thing. Now, what we have as you know uh, characteristics of IFRS S1 and S2, they are same. So IFRS S1 and S2 both, they give you characteristics that the disclosures must be relevant, same as conceptual framework. You know what relevance is. They should give faithful representation, right? And after faithful representation, the secondary qualities must also be there, which includes that they are comparable, they are timely, they are understandable, and they are verifiable. So all my students of SBR, you know exactly what CTUV is. So that is what use as an acronym in our conceptual framework: comparability, timeliness, understandability, and verifiability. So that's how your disclosures for IFRS S1 should look like. Then you should also, like, for example, if your financial statements are for 1 year, so your disclosures time based should also be 1 year only. Like, don't give them disclosures which are related to next upcoming 20 years. Your financial report is for 1 year, so you have to report it like for the 1 year only. So time based should be also same, correct? And then what are the contents? Lastly, what are the contents in IFRS S1? Now, please listen to this very carefully, because these will remain same in IFRS S2 also. So what all lenses, from which all lenses I have to look at sustainability issues while disclosing them in my annual report? First is governance. Governance is the way you direct and control your company, right? So you are going to tell them that how the company is taking some steps. For example, you've made some bodies in the entity which are working on sustainability issues. So that is what you will disclose. That would become your IFRS S1 disclosure. Then how, if there is any meeting that you have on sustainability issues, what is the frequency of those meetings? Is there any executive activity that you're doing for sustainability issues? For example, the CEOs and the board of directors, they have a meeting, and that is something which is on executive level, the governance level, which you have to actually disclose under IFRS S1. So that is where you talk about what steps the governance, the higher authorities of the entity are taking to combat the risks of sustainability and to take the advantage of the, you can say, the opportunities related to sustainability. Right. So then what else we have is, second lens we have is the strategy. So governance strategy. Now strategy is, what is your approach to sustainability issues in the entity? What is your approach for the identification? Okay. How do you identify the risk and opportunities? What are you identifying? You're identifying risk and opportunities related to sustainability only in IFRS S1, right? So that's what you are doing. And you are supposed to identify them. You are supposed to mitigate the risk. So what is your approach that you take to mitigate the risk of sustainability issues? And what are the, you can say, uh, financial impacts of these things? What are the financial impacts of these things? And how does they impact your projections, like forecasts and the budgets? So all that stuff is there in the strategy part, like what is the approach to combat, to identify, to mitigate, and to take the, if I talk about the risk is mitigated, advantage, you take the advantage of the opportunity, right? So what is your approach to identify risks and opportunities and to take the advantage of opportunities and to mitigate the risk associated with sustainability? That is what you disclose in the part of strategy. Third is, like, how are you doing your risk management? Now, first you gave your approach. Like if you have given audit paper, you must be knowing that there is an audit plan and then there is an audit procedure. So in strategy, you make your approach, like this is how I will fight the SBR paper. So we made an approach in orientation class, like this is the planner that you will follow. So that is strategy. Risk management is the processes that you've put in place to identify, to assess the risk and opportunities. In all these points, I'm talking about risk and opportunities related to sustainability. So what are your processes associated with identification, for the assessment, right? For the prioritize, like how do you prioritize the risk and opportunities, and then how do you monitor them? So all these things, so just learn these points. In risk management, it is all about processes that you have in place in your entity, which you will disclose, which you use for identification, assessment, prioritization, and monitoring of the risks and opportunities related to sustainability. Lastly, you have metrics. What are the metrics and targets that you've kept? So for example, related to sustainability, you might have kept some performance targets, no? Like you might have some KPIs, key performance indicators, just like we have in financial, information. So for example, you might have that, okay, this year, this is the percentage of reduction in my carbon footprint, or this is the percentage of renewable resources that I've used. So that kind of metric and target you have to set where you are actually monitoring your performance. So first you take steps at the governance level, then you make an approach to fight the issues and take the advantages of opportunities. Then you take the processes, the risk management processes. And then lastly, you keep some performance targets so that you can do better monitoring of what you are taking as steps towards sustainability issues. So this is it about IFRS S1. Right? So this is it about IFRS S1, which is exactly like very important. But I would say that this is easy also, where you have to just, talk about various small things, which is same theoretical. So if you take just the summary of IFRS S1, so what was the need to bring these standards? The need to bring the standards was that there was no consistency and comparability, which is why some people were cluttering the information and there was a lot of inconsistency amongst the industries, which is why we need to now make a rule that, okay, this is what you have to disclose. So we said, okay, first of all, this is voluntary. If you want to disclose, then do it. Otherwise, do not. And if you disclose it, then follow these rules. Keep the time frame same as your financial reports. Secondly, you have to tell in IFRS S1, you're supposed to disclose issues related to sustainability. And for that, you have to actually take 4 lenses into account. First lens is governance, what steps the executive bodies are taking in the entity. Then you have to talk about the your strategy which you have, the approach that you keep for identification, for assessment, prioritization, and monitoring. And then what are your processes, risk management, that is another third lens where you talk about what processes you have in place. And lastly, for monitoring, you should have some metrics and targets. Now the same thing exactly in IFRS S1 what I had, same lenses are there in S2. Now the sustainability issue will be substituted by the word climate related risk or climate related disclosure. So in the beginning of the session only, I said they've divided the environmental issues into, one is sustainability issue, which is S1, and one is the climate related disclosures. So you have to just remember that S1 is sustainability, S2 is climate. Now in the climate related disclosures, which is S2, they've kept it exactly same, but you should just know few things. So I'm just going to type it out for you so that you remember it. And I'll also post these, notes in the WhatsApp groups, free WhatsApp group, and in the description box. So just find all the information in the description box, like how can you be part of our WhatsApp group and stuff. Okay. So for IFRS S2, it is on climate related disclosure. So now we have to talk about the risks and opportunities of climate. And then we will talk about the, in IFRS S2, there are 2 types of climate related issues. One are physical climate related issues, which are further of 2 types, acute. For example, if flood comes in, so that is an acute climate related issue. It just happened, right? It just happened and you can't really control it. So that is acute. And then second one is chronic. In the first point only, second one is chronic. For example, I told you about the depletion of, you can say, for example, global warming. Now that is not one-off, that is happening over the time. So the temperature is rising by 1 degree Celsius every year. So that is global warming, which is a chronic problem. So if you face an accident, that is acute thing. Chronic is which is you're depleting your health over the period of time. So that is what are the type of climate issues. Second type of issue is transitional issue. Transition related climate issues. For example, now what we are doing is, as I said, the countries are transitioning from being carbon, you're emitting carbon, but now we are becoming no carbon emitters. So in this transition, there will be some risks and opportunities also. So it's like you were healthy and now you're losing the weight. So in the transition of losing the weight also, there would be some risks and opportunities. For example, one of the opportunity can be vlog your journey of losing the weight. So that is an opportunity related to your journey transition. Risk would be that maybe you do too much of keto diet and you end up having some deficiencies. So that is what I'm saying. Similarly, apply this concept to climate. So there would be a transition from being carbon emitters to zero carbon emitters, which will lead to some risks and opportunities. So this is what we have to disclose in our financial statements, regarding these 2 risks we have to, or 2 issues we have to talk about in IFRS S2. Again, we will keep it, the same lens will be kept. One is governance. So here in governance, you talk about the bodies. If you have any body or executive level activity, then you'll talk about the strategy, that is your approach towards these issues. Then you'll talk about the risk management. That means your process towards these issues. And then you'll talk about your metrics, like what targets have you kept in front of you. that this is how we are going to improve the flood affected area. So that is a metric that we've kept. Or this is how we will reduce our carbon emission. That is a metric that we have kept. So that will vary from company to company. So in the exam, they would never ask you an application based question, as far as I feel. They would ask you general questions. So I've given you the, IFRS S1 and S2, the whole, crux of it. There's no need to read it from anywhere else. Just read this, what I've given to you. You can first download this Word file and then take notes along with it if you want to. Otherwise, I say it doesn't require so much of your input. Okay, so thus this video just is enough for you. And lastly, we should always know for a direct question the advantages and disadvantages. So advantages of IFRS S1 and S2 are same as sustainable reporting. That first of all, the first advantage is that it increases the comparability. So comparability increases. You should know the sentence formation of it. Okay. And then consistency increases. And that was the only reason why we had these standards. Then we make transparent, we increase the transparency, and that also increases the trust of the investor, which brings in more investment. And then what happens is some people have like, local disclosure rules. Like, for example, there is global reporting initiative. So in my current issues video, I have actually explained you this GRI and stuff, if you've watched it already. So this particular standard of IFRS S1 and S2, they will make a smooth transition for people who are like transitioning from UK GAAP to IFRS, because they are inclusive of everything. So IFRS S1 and S2 includes all the local disclosure requirements as well, right? So that is very important. And fifth point is that it will provide more information to the investors, and more information would actually tell the, for example, if you have a supplier, so your supplier will get to know that how are you impacting the environment. So your ESG policies will be transparent to the public now, which will help you get some reputation also, right? And then what are the negatives that we can state? What are the disadvantages? I would think there are only two disadvantages. One is that there is this is not voluntary. So some people will do it, some people will not do it, and plus this is not audited. So there is a risk of misstatements in this. So material misstatements can be there. And lastly, there is the cost associated with it. If you're making these disclosures, then of course there would be a cost for the people who would work on this area. And that is why this is a disadvantage. So this is it for IFRS S1 and S2. I would request, like, if you want more data on it, once there is a small table which is given to you to compare local rule with the IFRS S1 and S2, even though I don't think it would be tested, it's not important. I've given you the crux. You've seen the type of questions on sustainability in your kit. So they just ask you majorly on advantage and disadvantage, or maybe they can ask you the difference between IFRS S1 and S2. So you can tell that S1 is for sustainability, S2 is for climate, and rest everything in them is same. And then you can give the, like, in metrics of S2 we will talk about different targets, in metrics of S1 we will talk about different targets. So all those points you can make up, but I've given you the crux which is there. So if you want to read more on it, rather than going to the ACCA technical article which might confuse you, I would suggest you go to the study text of Kaplan, right? And in the analysis chapter, last part of analysis and interpretation chapter, you will find this topic. And they've given you a small one or five column table which differentiates the IFRS S1 S2 with the one of the local rules. So just have a read through of that. Apart from it, everything that we've covered in this lecture, you have the optimum knowledge which you can utilize to get your passing score in SBR. So it is like you would really not have to really worry about all this thing. And it's just like casually, it's a very casual topic, and you've done it casually only, right? So it is not something that you should be afraid of. You should know the advantages, disadvantages. What is IFRS S1? What is IFRS S2? The four types of lenses that we have. Why do we need it? So all that things, and the qualities are relevant, faithful representation, same as conceptual framework. So there's no such problem in this topic. So I hope this was helpful, and if it was, throw a like and share and subscribe this channel, and share this video with your friends as well, because this is a new topic and some people are struggling. Those people who don't take that they don't have the guts to go to the text and figure this topic out themselves. I understand, because when we read it from the text, it becomes really different and difficult, like feels like what is this. But when we actually you know try to listen to this, it becomes better, because then the concept is this much, but when we read the words, complex words in the text, it feels like a mountain. So now I hope you've been got ridden of the fear of sustainability, and we are all sorted on this. So thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned on my channel. And if you want any help regarding the SBR, FR or AAA papers, make sure you contact us at TG Professionals. The link is in the description box. Bye guys, all the best.